Hello again, everybody. We're in the shop taking the engine transmission transfer case out today. I do get a lot of questions sometimes about that cable down the bottom that goes through the bell housing, and people wonder what that's for. Some of the new guys getting into the hobby, and that's called the engine stay cable, and that was the engineer's way of trying to keep the engine in place in a front end collision. So they put that cable down there and simply called it the engine stay cable. So trying to make these videos appeal to everybody, the pros and the new guys coming in. And today we're just working on getting the engine out. Pulled the starter out already. A little rusty in there, probably hasn't been started in a long time. But the block is kind of weird. I'm going to show you this block. I'm going to take you out and show you another 3A engine I've got. If you can see, we're on a passenger side, and look at the way that block is cast. Okay, and you'll be able to compare that to an original 3A motor. I'm not saying this isn't an original 3A motor, I just haven't seen one like this. Everything fits up okay. The water drain for this block is over here toward the front of the motor. Usually on a 3A and 2A it's over under the distributor. Well, the whole casting where the water pump is, the whole way the block is cast, is a little weird. It sticks out a little further than it should. See how it comes out right in here? And as we looked at yesterday, the water outlet, that's just a small 2-bolt unit, not a 3-bolt unit like on a regular Willys. So not really sure what's going on just yet. We're digging, seeing what's what. And that head doesn't have any distinctive markings on it that you usually see. But it's got the right front plate. It's got the original cover on it for the timing gears. Water pump is different. That is not a standard Willys water pump. But the original fan bolts to it okay. We've got the generator in there as normal. But this whole casting back here is a little crazy looking. And in there, we still got our timing mark cover. We've got some numbers right there that I'll try and get off, and we've got some numbers down there. It looks like 6357. I think that's a 4, and then a 3, and then W1. And there's a few more numbers in there. I'll have to dig for those too. But keep in mind what this engine looks like. And we'll go and we'll take a visit to another 3A engine that's out of a vehicle already. Okay, we're out in our front barn here. And this has a supersonic head on it. But it doesn't have the water outlet, but you can see that big 3-bolt unit that it should have on there. Okay, now here's the side of the block that was all cast differently on the other one. And here's your water drain right below where the distributor would be. So this is out of, I believe, a 51 3A. I believe it's a 51. I don't know what was wrong with it, but it wasn't running right, so I rebuilt one for the guy. But try and move that around. So some things look the same, some things look different. You know, you can see how this water pump where it's cast on a block is quite a bit different than that other one. So I don't know exactly what we have there. I keep digging on it and look up some numbers and see what it is. But if anybody has any comments about it, just feel free to shoot me a note. So that's an original 3A engine, and you saw what we had inside. So just comparing the two. Okay, we're working on getting the engine out, and you can see we got quite a disaster here. Looks like that clutch has been frozen to the flywheel for a long time. Lots of rust in there. Probably some mice got in there and made a mess of it. There's a bunch of junk on the bottom, but I don't know if the shaft was stuck on the clutch or the pilot bearing was stuck on the snout of the transmission shaft there. I don't know, but we're going to pull it out now, take a look in there and see what's going on, and that's where we're at right now. Not in too bad a shape in there. Splines are rusty, but not too bad. And just a bunch of junk in there. That'll all clean up. We'll sandblast everything out nice. So the engine's out. We're going to attack the transmission transfer case next. Okay, everybody, we just got that transmission transfer case out. We're bringing it in and taking it on the transmission teardown bench. It's pretty grimy, so we left the skid plate on the chassis for now. We're just going to get this on the bench. Okay, I think we can work with it from there. And because it's so grimy, I don't like to sandblast them in this condition because you waste sand and can't get that grease off there. It just absorbs the velocity of the sand, so you got to kind of melt that off, and it's kind of a pain. So we'll degrease this and take it apart, and we'll pull the housing off here, get everything disassembled, and then we can sandblast everything once it's degreased. We'll take a look on the inside now and see what's what. But I'll get it set up on the bench, and we'll open it up, see what it looks like, and I'll show you a few things along the way on the transfer case and transmission, and I'll show you the rebuild process. So that's where we're at right now, and I'm going to get the chassis cleaned up a little more. We'll come back, we'll open this up and see what we got. Okay, I pulled the top off the transmission here, and we've got a little bit of rust on the gears. I think you can see that. That's second gear. Some rust on it. Main shaft in there's got some rust on it. And first and reverse. Not terrible. Not a whole lot of oil in there. But I'm going to let it drain. I'm going to drain the transmission transfer case, because I know the whole thing's going to come apart at this point. So I'm just going to let everything go on the bench here. And this bench is built on an angle. And it's got a little tray in the back, so everything will run down to the tray, down in that hole, then into our oil bucket. So I'm going to let this drain overnight. I'll pull the plugs on both of them, get it propped up in a good position to drain everything. And then when we come back, I'll show you how to separate the transmission transfer case without making a mess of your transmission there and pulling everything apart and dropping all your needle bearings in there. I'm sure there's probably some guys out there that have done that, but I'll show you how to get them apart carefully, and we'll open up the transfer case and pull apart the transmission and see what it looks like down there on the cluster gear. and we'll see what we're going to do with it. Okay, so we're going to end this video here, and we'll catch you next time when we're going to be pulling everything apart. Okay, thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.